Music that's out right now, like the drill, is really taking over. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it is really playing a part because people. It's so crazy how I feel like the music be changing people because people who you think wouldn't really go around doing that stuff, then you hear them playing music. Then the next thing you know, a month later, they saying this and doing that. You're like, wait, what?
It's not like that in social media. There's always a camera right there. You're aware of the camera, and so your behavior then alters. It's almost like being intoxicated. It's like you're gonna act yourself, but you're gonna be a little more. You're gonna be a little more this and a little more that. You said China, they have TikTok too, but they give their kids the spinach version.
Yeah, just different algorithm.
Yeah, different algorithm. They get like 30 minutes a day or something like that. It's nothing but science projects, all these type of things, educational resources. All educate. They do not give them the foolishness. They give us the heroin version. Nothing but foolishness. This really interesting symbiosis between reality and advertising. I'll give you an example. My daughter, she's the renegade girl, so she got all these offers to do different things.
Right.
And I remember one time I used to work with her and I would tape it and stuff like that. And one time we taped this thing, I edited just like how we edit. Like I made it look professional, lighting, everything good. They were like, no, this is produced, this is overproduced. I'm like, what do you mean overproduced? We need it to seem more natural.
What they did was took the concept of reality TV and put it in a short commercial.
Exactly.
And that's all they're doing. They're taking reality TV and they squeezing it into a commercial.
That's like my philosophy. If I go hard every day and enlighten them and expose them to something, some kid is going to leech on to something that I say or some project that we did or some lesson, and they'll never forget it.
Hello world. Welcome to another episode of Generational Health and Self-Love. I'm your host, Life.
Ronnie Easy.
And today we got a special guest. He's been here before, but the last episode that we shared with him went so good, we just had to have him back. So I'm going to let you introduce our next guest.
It's definitely some things we haven't touched on, so we had to bring him back. Can y'all welcome Mr. Dr. Harmon, please?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Nice to have you back, man.
Good to be back. Definitely good to be back.
You ain't on social media, but my reels with a lot of your videos on there.
Okay.
It did a lot of good numbers. I mean, 4 to 500 each one
nice.
of them average a lot of numbers. So and we got a lot of feedback. People was in the comments talking about the things you was talking about as far as with the children and their phones and the devices. So it's just only right that we bring you back because people were definitely feeling their episode.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think but the main thing with coming back is we talked about, everything leading up to how you got in the school system and why you loved it and all that other stuff. And what we talked about, like how school is kind of now and what, families and kids. But I think the real question that we coming back to answer is kind of like, why is the need now? What has changed in schools and whatnot now for us to be having this conversation, or you to be wanting to do what you want to do in the schools and whatnot?
The shift.
What's the reason?
Right, the shift. To be honest, I've been asking myself that question for a while now. I'm like, this is year 18 for me, I think, in teaching, and I probably graduated exactly 20 years ago. So what school looked like today is completely different from what school looked like 20 years ago, and of course, even before that. And so I think we always have this narrative where we're talking about these kids are different, these days. My mom said that about my generation. My grandma said that about her generation. I think that there is a cycle of a difference between the generations. And so now we're just in this new phase, whereas before, with us, it was the internet. That internet's gonna ruin you. Computers are gonna ruin you. Before that, it was, ballpoint pens are gonna ruin you, and dry erase markers are gonna ruin you. You're not gonna. So it's always something. Color TV is gonna ruin you. Everybody's always had something, but from what I've seen with the research, I think that this is a new phenomenon that we're looking at. And one thing me and another educator, a friend of mine, talked about was we're probably going to be looking at social media as a social health pandemic, kind of how we looked at tobacco back in the early days. The things that we're exposing our children to and not realizing the depths at which they are inundated with these images and how it's affecting them. I think that it's a brand new horizon that we didn't really see coming. and it's so new that it has all these unintended consequences that we don't even realize. And so I think that's what has brought us here today, and I think that's the biggest issue that any teacher would say we have to tackle.
Definitely not. I hear how you said that you feel like it changes from generation to generation, but I think it's so sped up now because even from when I was in school, I feel like it's different already, and like the intensity of what's things that go on in the schools now. Because I know I'm not in school now, but I still have people who I know that's in school, and they tell me stories about this, that, and the other. I'm like, whoa, that was not going on when we was in there. It wasn't at like every other week or this, that, and the other. It was just not on that type of scale. So I don't know, like. Because I know, social media plays a big part, but, like, we had social media as well, but during our time, I don't know, I would say, like, music was different during when I was in school, but not necessarily, but, like...
I would agree with that. I think, and, man, I hate for the conversation to go this way because I love rap music. I grew up on it. Like, we love it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have these bouts sometimes with myself saying, if I had to give it up, like if I had to give up rap to like save a generation, could I do it? Because I'm like, let's just get rid of it. And I hate to wrestle with myself like that, but I think you're correct. I think that it influences us. The music becomes like a culture. There's this saying that says, watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your character, like, and that becomes who you are. Mm-hmm. And I think these kids are like listening to things that are influencing them in ways they don't even really realize. I had a conversation. There were some kids trying to play some music for me. Been doing this for 18 years now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Letting me listen to music, and they always watch me to see
your reaction.
My shocked reaction. Like I'm gonna clutch my pearls. Like I don't listen to hardcore rap. I'm like, I've been listening to this stuff since I was y'all's age and younger too. Right. There's nothing that people are saying that's going to shock me. Right. I was like, my question to you is, what are you getting from it? I have Outkast lyrics playing in a feedback loop in my head. Nas lyrics, Jay-Z lyrics about life, about how to become a man, how to grow into adulthood and things like that. I said, so what are you getting from this? That's my question. Because listening to the same three vices, sex, drugs, women, and violence, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, to be in a field, so what I'll be asking them, what is this song about?
Yeah.
Making money. Getting women. I'm like, okay, is that it? Right. There's no growth. Right. Or they'll say, I'll be like, that sounds like Anti the Menace. We don't listen to him no more. I'm like, he's like 17 years old. Y'all were just listening to him 2 years ago. I was like, that means there's no substance. What you're listening to now, you're not gonna listen to next year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then I asked him this very important question. I said, why are you listening? How did you discover this artist? Why do you like him? And he was like, and one kid astutely realized what I was doing. He was like, they only listen to music that other people listen to.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's like being a part of a group. If you know these lyrics, that means you're a part of the in crowd. Yeah. You don't really care about liking it or anything like that. It's about making sure you're a part of the tribe of people who like it. So then you have credibility to say that you know the song too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's a certain group of people who listen to a certain rapper that I feel like fit into that category. Like people who listen to NBA YoungBoy. I have listened to a couple songs, but man, it seemed like the people like, it's like when you say you listen to NBA YoungBoy, you're in a different.
You're in a group, yeah.
Yeah, you get put into like, I'm like, man, and it's just like, cause I don't know, NBA, it's just so weird. But I had something else I was trying to say, but that whole thing just caught me off guard.
But you're right. It does speak to like a shift in. I let them listen to a song. It was from an underground rapper they never heard of. First they talked about his name. And then you can hear them listening. They were like, I don't know, man, he's snapping. They was like, I mean, he sound good. I'm like, I wouldn't play you anything as an example that wasn't good. I'm like, what's your measure? Why do you like it? They was like, what you mean? I'm like, the beat, the lyrics, how they're saying it, what they're saying it, and then what you're getting from it, how you can relate to it. I think I played them Grip, Pressed or something, like some new rapper named Grip from Atlanta. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, he rapping, this is good. But it's like to them, if he isn't endorsed by somebody, if he doesn't have this kind of credibility, then they're not going to listen to it for what it is.
It's like a missing piece to them.
Yeah, it's like I listen to all these different rappers because I heard a song, I'm like, oh, I like that. Let me see what else he has to say. Not you like so and so, let me like them too. And that's what they on. It's
I
a
think-
mob mentality.
Definitely. I think that social media now has made people so like it's so easy to find something on social media and then get addicted to it, and you can spend as much time like on it because it's easy access to almost anything. So it's easier for you to get used to something and then just like binge it. It's like no limit to how much you intake this or that nowadays.
The
So
instant
people get-
gratification piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so now people get too used to like dopamine, that dopamine effect to just keep continue. So now stuff get played out faster because people are consuming so much
Right.
like on the media or on music, on shows, because we just consuming.
Exactly.
And I think that's why nowadays
But why are they consuming so much?
because there's no guidance.
Because it has no
No.
substance. If
Oh.
because I can play something from. Of course, we listen to a lot of old school sometimes too. Me and him ride somewhere, and I'm like, "What you want to listen to? We gonna do some old school today?" And we just play all old school.
Right.
And he loves it. But some of them songs that I played that I played when I first heard 30 years ago, I'm still learning. I'm like, dang, I
Yeah.
didn't even know he said that way
Layers.
back then.
There's layers to
Yeah.
it. Like Jay-Z
'Cause
said, there's
it's-
layers like
it's
an
a
onion.
substance.
Yeah, every time you listen to it, I can listen to an Outkast song right now and be like, oh man, I always missed that line.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what he meant by that. Because as you grow and mature and your experiences expand, what you listened to when you were 17 is different when you're 27, different when you're 37.
Yeah.
And we mature with the music. That's
Yeah.
why Jay-Z's music is so nice. Jay-Z during Reasonable Doubt sounds different from 444 Jay-Z.
Right.
And we get to grow and evolve with him. And we so lucky to have people that we can evolve with. But you spoke to something important, and I think in the educational sphere, I think that's a part of the issue. Technology has always outpaced education.
Yeah.
So because there's this instant gratification and because, commercials are shorter, Instagram now, the way it brands things, and it's this really interesting symbiosis between reality and advertising. I'll give you an example. My daughter, she's the renegade girl, so she got all these offers to do different
Right,
things.
right.
And I remember one time I used to work with her and I would tape it and stuff like that. And one time we taped this thing, I edited just like how we edit. Like I made it look professional, lighting, everything good. They were like, no, this is produced, this is overproduced. I'm like, what do you mean overproduced? We need it to seem more natural. And it took me a minute to understand. I'm like, we have the money to make the equipment, the light and all that to make it look professional quality.
Yeah.
That's not what they wanted.
What was y'all posting on?
We were posting on Instagram.
Okay, that makes
So, in my mind, I'm not on social media like that. It took me a while to understand what they wanted. They want people to see this and believe that she's innocently in her room and just start using this product.
right.
They wanted some little teenage girl is doing this in her room and she likes this product. It's a new way of advertising, tricking you into believing. Because if it looks like it's produced,
You feel more connected.
that's what I'm saying. And so now it's like, oh, we stumbled upon, look at her post. Oh, what does she drink? Oh, okay, that's what she uses? Cool. And it doesn't look like there's a whole studio back there
Team
producing
with
it.
them,
Well, they
doing
took what they did was took the concept of reality TV and put it in a short commercial.
Exactly.
And that's all they doing. They taking reality TV and we squeezing it into a commercial.
Exactly.
basically. That's all they doing because people be watching these Atlanta Housewife and all this stuff and they be thinking like they don't like this stuff ain't scripted.
Right.
This is scripted.
Yeah. 'Cause
I
when
don't
you
care how real it's seen. This is scripted.
when you stick a camera into a situation, people's behavior change. Research says that.
Yes,
There's no rhyme or reason. Perhaps sometimes there's this thing called a panopticon, right? It's what they use in prison sometimes. Imagine a camera that's sitting there and it can see 360 degrees.
yeah.
They have it at the prison in Angola. And there's like all these cells. The idea is that people will police themselves because there's always a camera watching them. Your behavior changes. But what happens after a while is, especially if there's no punishment for anything that you're doing or no direct engagement, then people forget that the camera's there. It's not like that in social media. There's always a camera right there. You're aware of the camera, and so your behavior then alters. It's almost like being intoxicated.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to act yourself, but you're going to be a little more.
Yeah.
You're going to be a little more this and a little more that.
Yeah, and I can
Right.
see how that, I feel like that has also affected how people act with other people nowadays because when you, people start acting different when you like if you're on live or you doing like making a post or if you're doing a video. It's like different personalities. So when you turn that camera on, you're not dealing with that same person no more. That's what I feel like I see more now because people try to they're trying to do the content creation and the YouTube and all this other stuff. And then I guess once you start seeing what you think will go big, you start trying to act like it. But then like it kind of sometimes it go against who the person is and
Exactly.
all this other stuff, and it just create conflict within. I feel like
Right. And then imagine a generation of kids who want to do that. That's the number one with preteens. The number one occupational goal
Yes.
is to be a content creator. And you saw what happened in the news. TikTok, the insider guy, he said China, they have TikTok too, but they give their kids the spinach version.
Yeah, there's different algorithm.
Yeah, different algorithm. They get like 30 minutes a day or something like that. It's nothing but science projects, all these type of things, educational resources.
All educational
They do not give them the foolishness. They give us the heroin version.
Yeah.
Nothing but foolishness. They got this tiny little thing for educational videos that nobody uses.
Nobody.
And these kids will scroll for hours unrestricted. So it becomes this thing where education, we can't keep up. If a student goes home and they'll scroll, and a lot of them averages 5 to 6 hours a day, if they're scrolling, and you can tell they're only on those videos for an average of like 3 to 5 seconds.
Oh yeah.
And they can tell just how much it influences you based on how long. If you did that for 2 seconds, okay, so we're not going to give you that one. You stayed on this one for 4 to 5 seconds, give them more content like that. And it starts to be curated. So you have all this content being curated towards your personal taste and your micro touches. How can I compete with that? If I stick a paper in front of you or an article, it might be interesting. It might be culturally relevant. I cannot compete with these moving images.
It's the attention span now.
It's gone.
So would you say, compared to the past, the children now are living in the they in the present, but they're not in reality. I
would agree with that, but I don't want to say. I think that we all are getting there, right?
Yeah.
I think that we do have to shift, and again, education just has to catch up. I am okay, and forgive me for saying this, I am okay with us shifting into digital literacy.
Okay.
I'm okay with that, right?
I definitely agree.
But I'm not okay with some foreign hand being the auditor and the controller of said digital literacy.
Yeah.
If I want to teach my kids, I want my students to all read Autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
It's a thick book. They look at it, and I tell them, I said, if you should get through a couple of chapters, this will change your life.
Yeah.
Now, what if I can't get them to do that, but what if there's some kind of, like, I don't know, long-form TikTok or Instagram post that gives them all the information, all the feelings they get from Malcolm X, but it has images, it has words, it has clips of him and stuff like that interspersed, and they get all the data that they would have gotten from the book. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Problem is, who's making that form of the Autobiography of Malcolm X?
Right.
So I'm okay. Our students' brains, our kids' brains are rewired differently. There's research that says that you have to write things down and it sticks better, right?
Yeah.
That works for people whose brain synapses were connected based on majority learning to write.
Right.
If students are learning to type more, to text more, and things like that, their brains are making new pathways and new synapses. So they can ingest that information a lot differently than how we ingest it. So we have to shift and meet them where they are. The digital stuff is coming. We can't stop it.
Yeah.
But I do want to try to keep up, and I want to try to harness it. So in my classroom, I use video games. Like I teach narratives that the students have on their phone, and we're playing a game. And I'm like, okay, now what does this mechanic mean? Let's read their facial expression. Let's read this. How does this graphic teaching us? What is this? Here's an article to read to help you understand this. Give it to them in pieces. You spoon feed them. They're getting the literacy. They're reading and things like that. But it's mired with something that they're used to, right? That's what we got to do more of.
I definitely think that'll help, and I agree with that. Also, with technology, I feel like something I seen was when a kid is struggling with reading, and since the technology is more advanced, they have things that can help them with reading, but not teach them how to read. So I seen where, like, my little brother was struggling with with reading some stuff, and I seen him just go click on something and then he highlighted it and then it read it for him. But now I was like thinking, if he always goes to that to just do that, how is he gonna start doing it himself when he could just use the technology to help it read for him? And I was wondering, like, are they not teaching him in school? Like, if he doesn't know how to do a question, are they just telling him to go in there so he can read it for him, or are they telling him to, like, how is that working out in school?
That is an issue. So a good analogy to that would be the dictionary. I'm gonna sound like a nerd. I used to like going into the dictionary. Like I would look for. We used to have to look for the word. I think that you even have to really use the dictionary when you have Google.
Yeah.
We didn't have Google. We look for the word. I was such a nerd. I liked it because I'm like, what other words don't I know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so to get to that word, even again, Malcolm X, first word, he learned the dictionary. That's how he learned how to become intelligent. Like he started dictionary. First word in there was aardvark. He looked at every single word on that page. So, but we don't have dictionaries like that anymore. So if a kid can go and look up a word that they don't know, aardvark, I'm okay. We have to be okay with them skipping a step to get to the word without going through the book. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some of the skills that we needed before, we don't need those skills anymore. They have become obsolete. You had to do a works cited page, right, with your thing. Did you look up, did you look at the article, write down the author's name, then the title, then the this, then
Copy and
the...
paste.
You just copied and pasted. Did you, and then you copied and pasted the citation, right?
Yeah,
They gave it to you.
Yeah, the citation. Yeah.
My generation didn't do that. We had to look at the name, write it, the year published, the title. All he'll tell you, like physically.
Yeah, 'cause
Do
it's
I
online
need that
now.
skill?
Yeah,
But do I need that skill?
Not anymore.
You don't need that skill. It's okay that I just go and I copy it. Somebody already did the citation for me.
Right.
I want them to know why a citation is important. I want them to know, what a citation is used for, because we want people to be able to trace the source of where you got this from.
Right.
But the physical act of writing down the name, writing down the year, or even typing it out, that is obsolete. It's okay to skip some of these steps. Some of these things are extraneous. Technology has fixed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got a vacuum that vacuums my house automatically. I got one of them Roombas,
Yeah.
right? Now, my father-in-law, he don't believe in that. I want to see the lines,
Yeah.
and that's cool.
But
But I want to push the button and walk out,
Yeah.
and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That is.
Here's the next question, though. What am I doing with my time? That's the real question.
Yeah.
I have
you
now
said
saved that time. So what am I doing? Here's the problem. Technology has saved us a whole lot of time. We're filling it with more technology.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
That's why I said about the whole reality thing, because if you got a child who spends a lot of time on the phone and just constantly on the phone, like even
Perception.
their
Reality.
perception is like, I'm in that realm, that world of what I've been watching all these days. So like you said, it's like they live like it's a camera watching them. They act like it's a camera watching them because they look for other children's response. Because like if they watching stuff on IG or TikTok or whatever, they start to act those things out. Like they always, if it's a challenge, they want to do the
They're
challenge.
trying to do the challenge.
You know what I'm saying? So
And
they
they
always
think like
want to
that.
do what they see. So they start to take on the behavior of the people that they're watching. And
Exactly.
now it becomes like a show to them almost.
Yeah. And I give it to you in a more practical sense. And people, when I tell my students this, to get them to understand, and especially for those who went through the pandemic,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, you're right. They interact with people more on social media than they do in real life.
Oh yeah.
That's a dangerous thing.
Yes.
We don't even think about the implications of that. That means that I interact with people on social media. People see my image more than they see me. They always be like, Herman, why ain't you on IG or Facebook? I said, you know what women do on those platforms? They put the best representation of themselves. So on IG, a person looks 10 times better than what they do in reality.
right.
So I am constantly being bombarded with the best representations of these people. When I go into reality, I see these people in Target, in Kroger,
It'd be like, dang.
not glammed up.
Yeah,
They look
way
like
different.
regular people, and
Yeah.
they are beautiful.
Yeah.
When I'm on IG, my number one question when my wife shows me something, because she's my filter, I say, is that real? She's like, why are you always saying that? I said, because I don't know.
No.
Like, how do I know if this is real?
At
And
all.
I continue to question that. But that's because I'm not
AI.
on it. That's what I'm saying. So, but the students don't think like that.
Yeah.
They're like, this is real. And then they look at reality and like, I don't like that. Let me go back here.
Yep.
To me, it all looks very glossy, very this, very that. I'm like, has that girl been altered?
Yeah.
Is that a filter?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah.
What? Okay. I saw Cardi B with no makeup on. My wife was like, who is this? I said, I have no idea. She's like, you know who that is? I don't know who that is. She was like, that's Cardi B. I'm like, how would I know that?
Right.
I've only seen Cardi B on TV.
Right.
Right.
This is not Cardi B to me. This is Cardi B to me.
Right.
I'd have to see this a million more times to associate with Cardi B and this to be her persona. So it's been a flip flop.
It's crazy because it's actually like that's false though, because you know when you it's like putting on a face. It's like that's what social media is a lot of the time. Some people there are outliers that's themselves on there, but most of the time it's either like you put it like you said you this is the best version, or you do whatever you can, makeup, clothes, whatever the heck, but it's usually a whole different person on the other side of the screen. Like, they have
But only thing I would say about that, I don't knock that for those type of people because they're entertainers. This is what they get paid to do.
It's true.
So it's the average person who jumping on there want to be like this entertainer because social media done made these people, the average person, think they're a
Believe that.
celebrity.
Yep, believe that they're
So
celebrity.
they find themselves like the child, wanting to be like it's women 50 listening to Gorilla. I'm like, really? Like I mean, like you.
Yeah.
And I ain't saying
There ain't
you
nothing
don't
wrong
get me
with it,
wrong, ain't
but-
nothing wrong with it, but
Posting yourself doing it.
posting yourself doing it,
Doing a dance.
knowing that
whatever.
you like me, like it's like me. You know I listen to all type of music,
Right.
but you have never seen me post myself listening to some of the music. You just won't see me doing it. You'll never see me posting nothing negative. I don't do that. When I get on social media, it's to learn. It ain't to be, oh man, you see this fight? You know what I'm saying? No, okay, I
Right.
want to learn. Like I send you stuff. We be sending each other stuff. Like, you seen this wrong? It's some information that's valuable to us. You know, it's something that can help us. Not nothing that's more entertaining. Because that's what people, they fix on just being entertained
And that's
all the
but
time.
that's how we have to shift it. I think
Yeah.
that technology is a powerful tool
Yeah.
that can be used, but I'm in a school where a student will be scrolling and be like, Harmon, how do I do this? I'm like, Google it. Like, what do you, man, Harmon, I forgot. I said, put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
Like I taught this one kid, I said, when I go home, like if I need to remember something, I set a location reminder. They were like, you could do that? I said, yes. I said, y'all have this powerful machine and all you use it for is to watch social media. These kids don't know nothing else about the phone.
Right.
I do all this stuff on my phone. They be like, how'd you do that? Wait, you can do that? And I'm like, yeah. To
And they
make
supposed to be the tech savvy. on
right
this.
to make my life more efficient. Like, how did you send me this? Like, I sent them somebody a notification automatically, and it was like, Harmon, how were you able to text me the message? I said, Google Keep. It has this notation in there where it will give you this. When I hit a certain location, it will send a message to you and me.
Yeah.
They were like, I'm like, but you know the technology exists. It's GPS. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
I think
just
it's
send a
because
reminder.
we've been given technology without a lesson. Like so when you get something, you just want to use it for excitement and
For the
fun and
entertainment.
dopamine. So you don't figure out all the ins and outs of how you could use it to help you in your day to day.
Exactly.
Just use it for what's fun. It's like when you get a game, you gonna just play the games and all the other stuff. You're not gonna go figure out how to
Right.
this, that, and the other.
Right.
Because I think that's what people treat it as.
But that's what we want to shift to. We want to start before they gave us a problem.
Yeah.
Solve it. You got the glue, and you got this, and you got that. Remember Science Olympiad? You're dropping an egg, and here are the sticks and the styrofoam and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I give my students problems. Here's a problem. I need you to solve it. Like, well, what can we use? Well, we got technology here. I'm like, let's look it up. Let's see what the best way to do it. Best technology to do it, stuff like that. I want a documentary. I want a podcast. How do you do a podcast? This is how you do it. How do you do a documentary? This is how you do it. Using that technology to try to solve a problem, to try to find a way around it. I have my students doing tutorials. I said, we're going to do these videos on this thing, and you're going to create a tutorial for me on how to do it. Well, Harmon, how do I do that? I don't know. Here are your tools. Let's see if we can work it out.
Yeah.
Get them to problem solve so they understand how this technology can be harnessed and used. Not reducing it down to something like, write me a paper on your, record this. No. Here's the problem. Use technology to solve it. So we're preparing them to solve it. You all have made a podcast.
Yeah.
How'd you learn how to do a podcast? Did you go to school to make podcasts? Did you go to school? No. You went on YouTube and you learned how to do it or whatever, and trial and error, and you fixed it and this and that. You were motivated to do a thing, and you use technology and your resources to execute said thing. That's what, because today what these kids are going into the job market for, that's going to be obsolete in 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's crazy you say that as far as the YouTube go, because a lot of this stuff I didn't know. He be telling me like man, I don't know nothing about none of this stuff.
Well, YouTube
but
is
still doing it. Like even the editing, I didn't know nothing about editing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I love it now. Like,
Right.
I really like it. I like doing it, and me and him sharing the responsibility is something different. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so what you're saying is so true. The technology. It's like, you know, I'm sure I'm into like Marvel movies and Transformers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know how Optimus Prime will say something on one of the movies, he'll say something like, we need to get, it's something that they need to get a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
He said, because in the wrong hands, it can be dangerous.
Dangerous. That's right. That's
and
right.
that's with anything.
That's
like
right.
even
The
with
All
technology.
Spark. I think it's All Spark. Yeah.
You know, so
Or the
if we-
cube.
it's
They had
trying
a
to-
cube.
Yeah, trying to get a hold of because technology can be that cube that we're talking about here. It's good, but in the wrong hands, it could be dangerous.
And the wrong hands is idle hands of young people. Like
Yeah.
when you gave us like video games, like I remember when Super Smash Brothers came out. Me and my brother was in Boston over some of my aunt, and you can ask my aunt today. We didn't need to eat. We didn't need to sleep. She was like, "What's wrong with y'all?"
Yeah.
We were zombie because we were just.
yeah.
We don't have. Children do not have that regulatory. We still are developing our frontal lobe. We don't have that thing that regulates. Say, "Fool, you need to eat."
Yeah.
We will eat, sleep, and breathe.
Later on.
And this was before the internet.
Yeah.
When the internet came out, I was in college when Halo 2 came out and the internet online. I gave my controller. I was living with this girl named Abba. One morning, I gave her my controller. She's like, "What you doing?" I said, "Hide these from me." I said, "I should not be able to play anybody in the continental United States on this game that I love. It's constant competition. Like modern, just like Call of Duty.
Black Ops 2,
Like
that was mine.
as realistic as it is, it's just so fun that what's gonna pull you away? If you don't have that responsible parent that's gonna limit your internet access, come just like my mom did. My mom used to sneak. We used to try to sneak and watch whatever was on TV, The Simpsons or whatever. She'd come in and cut that TV off, unplug it, take the remote, and do all she can to stop us. Now parents have to do the same thing. Stop the internet, take their phone, put the VPN up, whatever you got to do to block their access because they are going to be kids.
They doing it the opposite. They giving them to them as pacifiers.
Just to shut them up.
Go on. I got company. You know what I'm saying? Your daddy just go ahead.
Right.
Or play this game and then they just.
That's what they do. My mama boyfriend used to take us to Blockbuster.
Yeah.
He gonna rent us a game, so he had time with my mama. It's just human nature. But we have to be cognizant, especially in our community. We have to be cognizant of those things or whatever, and don't give our kids to these. All these people want to do is make money off of us. They want to brainwash us, and they do a very good job of doing it.
Yes.
Like I don't give them. I tell my students all the time. I said, I don't scroll because I'm not trying to make anybody else rich.
Yeah.
They're like, "What you mean it's free?" I'm like, "It's not free." Every time you tap,
It's free, you're the product.
you're the product. Yeah, they are taking your data. Somebody's learning something about you,
Yeah.
and somebody is taking that and making money off of it. And nothing is free in this world.
No.
I said I don't want you to get it twisted. You scrolling for hours and hours or whatever, you're making somebody rich.
Yeah.
I'm not in the business of making somebody rich.
And not even only with the social media and the music and all that. If all that stuff don't work, they make it seem like we all against each other as well. I feel like the narrative to have us thinking that we need to go against another person or somebody else is just another thing that's added on to like the music.
Somebody
stuff.
like you almost like competition, almost like even like sports. You know, we always going at each other or what? You
I mean, not even like that. More like all of us like black and white or black and white people and we be fighting and everything and we just all but like really,
it's the feedback loop. What you get on social media, what you put in, and what you're scrolling. The system is designed to give you that more.
Yeah.
Because it's in it to make money, to get you on as long as possible. So I'm gonna reinforce this, and we see this in the fringes, right? Like QAnon and all this kind of stuff. You read some kind of weird fringe article, and then it's like, oh, he liked that. He read it.
Yeah.
Let me give him another one and another one. And so then we process things differently. My wife said this to me the other day. She was like, I don't want to go out as much, as we used to because the world has just become a much more dangerous place. I said, babe, I said, there's not any more crime than there was 30, 40 years ago. She was like, that's not true. I said, that is true.
Yeah.
I said, we should not be have the ability to see what's going on in Omaha, Nebraska, and Texas and this and that. I said, we get news more and we get negative news more.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we
'cause
feel like there's more. Things are just as bad as they were 30 years. Nothing's
even
worse.
worse.
School shootings have gone up. That we cannot deny that. School shootings have gone up. But like this crime and murders and stuff, this stuff been happening for you.
Yes.
The 80s child kill, like we ain't had no 80s child killing like there was 30
think we had
40
more
years ago.
serial
No,
That's what I'm
killers.
saying.
I was gonna say, I think it was
The
worse
world has
back then.
become smaller. You can't get away with stuff no
One
more.
dude had 20 murders.
That's what I'm
30
saying.
murders.
They just catching these dudes.
Yeah.
They were getting down. Now it's hard
they
to
didn't
hide.
have that, cameras everywhere for
That's
one.
what I'm
The
saying.
social media wasn't there, so you can go around killing people like a hobby.
Right.
And would nobody even know
That's
nothing
what I'm
about
saying.
it.
They
Whole
was
towns
snatching
like
kids
that.
all
Yeah.
for the longest.
Like
So
down here in Georgia, remember the child murder?
the
down
child,
there?
the 80 child murder, what was his name? Wayne. I forget his name.
I don't think he did it though. But
You're right.
that's another
There you go.
story. But
Oh, I do remember.
But-
Atlanta child murder had me spooked when I was watching that when I was
Man,
young.
that
I used to
jump
be
was
like-
crazy. That jump was crazy.
Yeah.
And so we don't even realize how we're being manipulated. So I think that that's the role of education now. We've always been trying to, like, as an English teacher, I try to have students look at things critically.
Yeah.
Critically analyze things. Now my job has to shift with technology. I have to teach them how to critically look at the things that they're constantly consuming. I have to include social media in their thing. I had them one time do a research on a business.
Yeah.
And at first they're like, this is cool. But I'm like, you get to use social media. They was like, oh, great. They didn't like it. I said, no, I want you to research based on what your business is and what your demographics are and who you're trying to appeal to, what time of day is the best time to post. And you got to post when it's time to post. They were like, they didn't like that. I said, oh, you don't want to post now
Right.
when it's going to, build your business. And I made them pull their analytics.
Right.
They didn't even know that existed.
Analytics.
Looking at the analytics,
Yeah.
looking at the time of day and stuff like that and posting stuff like that. They had no idea that this tool, this was a powerful marketing tool or the concept of marketing.
On
All they
social
knew
media.
was,
Yeah.
I said,
Soon.
I said, you have hundreds of thousands of kids getting out of school from 3 o'clock to 4:30. I said, so anything you trying to market is like just like commercials. You're not gonna see no Geritol commercials at on 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, right? Just like you're not gonna see people advertising the club on Price is Right.
No.
Right, the local club. No, they're gonna be marketing to older people. All them medicines and stuff like that. You see it at certain times of
It's
day.
consistent.
That has shifted to
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
They know who's looking and when. It's regionally based. It's time based. It's demographic based and stuff like that. So we have to teach them to look critically at the thing that they're consuming the most, but we have to keep up with it.
Yeah.
We have to understand what's happening to us because
Right.
we're all being manipulated one way or another.
That's kind of crazy because that's definitely how it is. Because I remember when I was a little younger and I was watching TV. If I ever fell asleep watching TV, I would wake up and it would be always some commercial playing. And you'd be like, what the heck is... But it's always one of three commercials playing at that time of night. And you like, what the heck?
Uh-huh.
And you just
Some-
wake up.
Some penis pills.
Some penis pills, yeah.
if you're having trouble in the bed,
Yeah.
You wake up like...
Like, wait, what? Or when you watching football, it's gonna be beer, it's gonna be wings, it's gonna be this, that, and the third. Like the Taco Bell, because that males are gonna be the ones consuming. So we have to, cater to them.
I
Talk
think-
shows, it's Ozempic and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, catering to women.
So, in school, like, in your role in school right now, is there anything that you're trying to do or bring to the school to, like, combat or help with what's going on?
So solvency is always, at the core of what I do. So my job now is to try to get teachers, especially some of the older teachers, to stop some of the habits that they have developed. Right? There's this thing we use for our learning plan. It's called backwards design. It's basically thinking of the end result in mind. Right? So I'm trying to get teachers to move away from creating a poster.
Yeah.
Like, why would you make a poster? So what's the value of a poster after you made it?
Yeah.
You're going to give it to some teacher. They got a stack of posters. Now they're looking to make sure you cut and pasted, literally cut and pasted
Literally, yeah.
a paragraph from this
Scissors,
or
glue.
whatever. And I'm like, what are they gonna do with that? Not to mention the act of cutting. Everything that you do is for a purpose.
Yeah.
I teach my 5-year-old how to cut because I'm trying to teach her fine motor skills. It doesn't necessarily mean that I want her to be an expert cutter, but I know that this act of precision and things like that is teaching her the fine motor skills that I need that she can kind of, use somewhere else.
Yeah.
Why do I need a 17-year-old to take scissors and cut anything out?
Well, yeah, not no more.
Not no
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better that I taught them how to, I don't know, make a podcast? So instead of doing a Greek mythology poster, why don't I do a podcast, right? Where I'm Zeus in a modern day context,
Yeah.
right? Zeus had a harem of women, right? What does that look like in the podcast? And so in the interim of doing that, they're taking this understanding of this character, right, which is a standard, analyzing the character, and they're putting it in this context of a technology. Podcasting is a $1 billion industry and growing exponentially. There's a new podcast being made every day.
Yes.
Wouldn't I want my students to learn the content, get that technology, and as they're learning to edit and manipulate, what happens a few years on down the line when they be like, you know what? That was a cool project, and look what I have to show for it.
Right.
And there were skills that I learned in doing that. So
Yeah.
now, you never know. Y'all might want to get an intern to help you edit.
Yeah.
I learned this in Harmon's class. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like that. What if I got you doing I want you to do me like a little brief film, like a PSA on this thing, right? PSA, what's that? This was a public service announcement. I need you to do the images. I needed to have this. I needed to have an animation. I needed all these little things that they're learning. Now it's not coloring. It's digitally animating.
All right.
Now it's not writing. It's articulating and speaking, right? Now it's not citing on paper. Now it's quoting the author that you borrowed this from.
And that would be good because it won't be their first interaction with technology. Consuming and looking at socials and all that, or just playing games. That wouldn't be their first interaction with social media.
Right.
And that'll
they're-
change everything.
And they're taking that skill. I got some students that have done some wonderful things. I'm like, where'd you get this from? They was like, oh, it's this program. And they learned it. And it is just, and I was like, man, make me another one of those. Make me another one of those. Can we put this on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I can get y'all paid with this? Like, there's all these ways that we can kind of combat like this tension between the status quo and what teachers were taught to do versus where the students are heading. AI is coming. Like I'm gonna be real with you. Fayette County is about to open up AI for high schoolers and 8th graders. I'm talking about give it to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what teachers think is gonna happen.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
But you're going to have to start making your assignments more AI proof, meaning you're
Yeah.
going to have to make them intricate enough and connected with the student enough to say, like,
a human can do it.
only a human can do it. Like I did a narrative with my students for debate class. They had to write a narrative. One girl told me to read her narrative, and I read it, and I'm like, And the kids saw my face. They was like, read it out loud. I was like, okay. So I read it out loud, and I'm reading it or whatever. And I was like, this is interesting. She was like, yeah, I spent a lot of time. And I was like, okay. I said, and your protagonist is a male? She was like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I kept reading it, and then I added a sentence in. I was like, then she rescued him, and they embraced and kissed deeply. She was like, oh, no, he's a male. I was like, is that right? She was like, yeah. I said, I just added that part in. It's not in the text. She was like, oh, I mean, he's a I'm like, mm-hmm. And so this ChatGPT. I was like, I know my students. I know she ain't write it. I didn't miss a beat, though. I was like, you know what? This brings us to a very interesting dilemma here. I said, I want you all to use AI to craft one of your stories. They have 3 stories.
Yeah.
I want you to use AI to craft one of your stories. But now I should see the difference between your 2 stories and the AI story, right? Like 2 truths and a lie, right?
Creative.
It is, because instead of me like, you shouldn't have done that, I can't demonize her for that. I want her to use it as a resource. But I also want her to know, like, you can't fool me.
Yeah.
I know you.
Right.
I know your writing.
Right.
And this is what I need you to do. And it doesn't work. They was like, Harmon, how are we going to get AI to put all these things that you asked for in our paper? I was like, yeah.
You can't. Yeah,
You can't. Not my stuff.
Right.
okay.
Not my stuff.
You made it.
Oh, you must
AI
have asked
proof.
them. Yeah, AI proof.
Yeah. So I don't worry about that. But everybody's not like that. So we have to get to a point where, because nothing's new under the sun. you teaching something you was teaching 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, there's already answers to that.
Yeah.
These
It's
questions that you
outdated.
got off the internet, if you got them off the internet, that means that AI already knows it.
Oh, yeah.
My students were like, Harmon, how come AI not working? I made that question up. I just made that up yesterday.
Walk up my AI. Well, I don't want we coming close to an end, but I do want to know did you share any of your videos within your students, and if you did from the previous podcast?
I did not. I should have though. I didn't even really look at it. I looked at some of the
Yeah.
stuff that you showed me. I need to show them or whatever.
I
They
would
get a
love
kick
to
out of
hear
it.
their reaction.
Hear the reaction.
They're like, wait a minute, hold on, wait, you was on a podcast?
And
You know,
then
just to see,
Just see what they
their
say.
reaction was gonna
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Definitely would love
I
to
definitely
see.
need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They get a kick out of that. But and some of the things that I say, it's what I get on my soapbox and talk
Yeah.
about all the time. So they'll probably be real interested to see that. They're like, okay, so somebody done gave you a platform now to talk all this stuff. So yeah.
So
definitely.
with school coming to an end in the next couple weeks, what's your summer looking like? Do you have anything going on with students at all?
No, we have this program. It's called the Journey Program that we're
Okay.
doing with the Department of Justice in Fayetteville. It's just a group of youth. I think I told you
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
We're supposed to be doing some summer stuff with them, like some exercise and stuff like that. It's like the at-risk youth. The new AP at my school as well is trying to start a mentorship program, kind of like what I was doing for years with Shift. And so, but other than that, man, to be honest with you, I go so hard during the school year.
Yeah.
Like I really have to.
Take a break.
I really got to shut because it does not, my brain doesn't shut off during the school year. So when it hits, like I basically, me and my 5-year-old, popsicles, swimming pool,
Yeah.
movies, like and
can
then,
see it,
in between time, I try to do some things like, I'm trying to get to the rental property game or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
trying to do home inspections. So there's stuff that I'm doing with properties,
Yeah.
but I do that, a little bit here and there just as a supplemental income. But for the most part, man, I just try to detox, enjoy my summer, like try to plan and figure out, what kind of engaging things I'm gonna be doing with the kids next year for the
Yeah.
most part.
So next year, what you think? What you looking forward to next school year?
I love these kids, man.
Yeah.
I think I realized that when the pandemic hit and there were no kids, and
Oh my gosh.
when I came back, like I never tell people this, but I literally developed back problems during the pandemic
Wow.
because I had a really bad chair. And I didn't know that. I don't sit when I teach. So when I was sitting for hours on end, I just had these terrible back pains. And so somebody was like, "Did you check your chair?" I'm like, "I've had this chair for years." They were like, "This is a terrible chair." It was like if you sat in it for 15-minute spurts, you
Yeah.
wouldn't know. And so that was one of those unintended consequences. But when them kids came back, I mean, you should have saw me. I was like, I wanted to touch them. I'm like, oh my God, I missed you. Like it
Right.
was, and I think it hit me. I'm like, I really like being around these students
Yeah.
because teenagers, you get them right there.
Yeah.
They got one foot out the door,
Yeah.
and you never know. You might say something to them that may change their whole perception on things. You might
That's definitely.
you might do a lesson that they'll take and make it into a career. You never know what you're gonna do. So I go hard every day. That's like my philosophy. If I go hard every day and enlighten them and expose them to something, some kid is going to leech on to something that I say or some project that we did or some lesson, and they'll never forget it. It may
Yeah.
take hold and change their life.
That's definitely crazy. It's like they subconscious take it with them and they never forget it. Because I remember I was talking with somebody and we was talking about having a deep conversation. It was like months ago, and like I think I had said something and it really stuck with them. And then we hadn't talked for like maybe a bunch of months past. And then when we came back, she was saying how somebody had told her something and it really stuck with her. And I was like, what they say? And then she told me, I was like, I told you that.
Yeah, right.
But she said that had stuck with her, and I was like, that's just crazy because you never know, what's going on with somebody. But if you like pay attention, like you've been doing, and be like really mindful about what you're saying to them or what you're doing, it can really stick with them, and without
Man.
them even knowing.
Without
and,
them
like,
knowing.
they will never forget.
And-
Substance.
Yeah.
Like we was talking about with the music. Your
Exactly.
conversation has substance in it. If you have substance in it, it might not dial in right then and there, but later on, like you say, somebody say something and you like, wow,
Yeah.
I heard something.
It's
And
in
then-
there.
Yeah,
It sinks
it's
in.
there.
And then the ethos is different too with teachers. Especially, if you notice young kids, like my daughter comes home, you can't tell her anything that her teacher said is wrong. What her teacher said, her pre-K teacher says is law, and she don't stray from it. And so we inhabit these ethos as teachers where they see us as like these like harbingers of knowledge and understanding. And so if they believe you, like Trash, like what Trash taught me about film and what he taught you about film, that stuff becomes law. Like I build my understanding of things around his tutelage and what he taught me, and I'm sure Ron does the same thing.
Well, editing,
That's what I'm saying, and we trust him because he has become an expert, and he'll see what we did wrong, and he'll kind of correct us and fix us. Well, it needs to be like this and that, and so teachers become like your first kind of like playing with this idea of, okay, you did this, you showed me this, now this is possible,
Right.
and you can't really put you can't really quantify that. So I'm definitely excited about next year. I think I'm teaching debate, and I'm gonna do the debate team. Yeah, and I taught it this year for the first time, and so now it's gonna be a little better. I'm gonna be doing some competitions and stuff like that. And I'm gonna be doing a little bit of the administrative things as well. You know how they got me doing that. So
So with the debate though, real quick before we close out, with the debate, I think that's really good because depending on the topic, they learn about stuff they probably would have never thought about going into.
Exactly.
And so that gives them a whole nother like reality that they never would have been introduced to had they not got a part of this debate. So I think that is really huge.
I had my students writing laws for the school and the local community, and they had to submit it into our docket, and we had like a whole congressional thing on it. I mean, these kids, and all my students, I make them into monsters.
Yeah.
You debate any of my kids, you be ready. Make sure you ready.
So they grasp the hold of it.
Oh,
they
man. I make it into a competition. Kids are naturally like contentious. They're competitive.
Yeah.
And so I put this topic as something that we all agreed on. We had like tournaments, and I mean these kids was coming for each other's necks. They was like watching, debating. I taught them how to use AI to help them build their speeches and their dockets and things like that. And we harnessed that technology to help shortcut and give us more access to this knowledge and stuff like that. Man,
so you talking about social skills? You
social
talking about self-confidence, self-esteem?
Yep. Getting up. I get all my students to get up in front of the class and speak. Like, I don't care if they got like anxiety. I teach them different techniques, articulation, eloquence, things like that, how to appeal to their emotions. I'm like, and my students we judge each other too. They were like, you use too much pathos. It was too much emotion. You need to be more logical.
Yeah.
Like, my students write speeches. They can debate. They understand the law. Like, they'll come up with something on the spot for you or whatever. They'll connect it back. Add humor to it. So it's like one of the best electives that we actually teach at the school. So I'm excited about teaching it next year. Definitely.
You want to say something before we get up out of here, son?
I think that people who really should hopefully take from this is like the parents and teachers, because we have to play a bigger part in helping our kids and just people in general, I guess, see technology in a different light rather than only consumption, and more in like a knowledge base or even like efficiency or productiveness way. So
Definitely.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you again for coming through. Like always, we had a beautiful episode and always learning something different. And for those out there, I hope that you let your kids watch this episode or watch it together with your family and just really pick up what he's saying about technology and just learning, because we really got away from really just learning as a family. And I think that everything that he's saying can complete your child if you just take a chance and just really implement this into your life on a daily basis. And you want to say something before we go?
Yeah, I mean, y'all said it perfectly. I think that the one other advice that I would give to people out there is like, it's okay to question everything. Like, I think we've gotten away from that. Like, really think and teach your kids that act of critically looking at everything in the world, whether you're watching a movie together, a podcast, whether you see something on the news. Engage with them. Ask them those questions like, what do you think about that? What do you think would happen if? Or how do you see this affecting you? You'll be surprised at how their understanding changes when you do that.
Definitely. Well, once again, a great episode. Peace and love. We out.